Hey everyone, Noir here. Let's get into today's Reddit story.
My parents hid the fact that my sister slept with my husband, and when I found out, it broke me completely. I felt like my heart had been ripped out. Because of that, when her baby shower comes around, I already know what gift I am going to bring. It is the kind of gift that will make every single one of them remember that day for the rest of their lives. Maybe I should start from the beginning and tell you a little about my family first. My name is Hannah, and I have just learned the most shocking truth of my entire life. Before I explain what happened, though, you need to understand what growing up in my family was like. For as long as I can remember, I knew I was never the favorite child. Nobody ever came right out and admitted it, but you do not always need someone to say those things out loud. You can feel it deep inside. It is in the way your parents look at your brother or sister instead of you. It is in the tone they use when they talk to them. It is in the way they choose them every single time, whether it is over something small or something that changes your whole life. My sister Chloe was always the golden child. In my parents' eyes, she could never do anything wrong. She was the one who received all the praise, all the attention, and all the love, while I stood quietly in the background watching it happen. Growing up, the difference was impossible to miss. If Chloe brought home a good grade, my parents acted like she had achieved something incredible. They would proudly show everyone and make a huge deal out of it. If I earned the same grade, I might get a quick smile or a simple good job before they immediately went back to talking about Chloe and everything she had accomplished. I spent most of my childhood living in her shadow. Even with all of that, I never hated Chloe. Of course, I was frustrated by the way our parents constantly put her on a pedestal, but she was still my sister, and I loved her. Back then, I honestly believed none of it was her fault. I figured our parents were the ones creating the problem. I thought things would be different once we became adults. I believed that all the unfair treatment would stay in the past, and eventually we would find our own lives and build a healthier relationship as sisters. I could not have been more wrong. Everything fell apart 2 days ago. It was supposed to be a happy evening. My parents invited everyone over for dinner because they wanted to celebrate Chloe's pregnancy. I was honestly happy for her. She and her husband, Ryan, had been trying to have a baby for quite some time, and I knew how much starting a family meant to both of them. Even so, I walked into that house with the same knot in my stomach that I always feel whenever I'm around my family. It is that familiar feeling that reminds me I am never enough. No matter what I do, I always come second when I am compared to Chloe. My husband, Ethan, was there beside me, just like he had been throughout the last 5 years. He knew how difficult my relationship with my parents had always been. He had always been the person who supported me, listened to me, and made me feel like someone finally saw me. At least, that was what I believed. Dinner went smoothly. Everything felt normal. We sat around the table laughing, eating, and celebrating Chloe's big news. As expected, my parents could not stop talking about her. They looked so proud, acting as though she had done something extraordinary just by becoming pregnant. That part did not surprise me anymore. I smiled, congratulated my sister, and acted like everything was perfectly fine. Then, later that night, I overheard a conversation that destroyed my entire world. After dinner, I got up to use the bathroom. On my way back, I passed by the kitchen and heard my parents speaking quietly to each other. I almost kept walking, but something about the way they were whispering made me stop for just a moment. That was the moment everything changed. I heard my mom say they could never tell me about Chloe's mistake. At first, I had no idea what she meant. I stood there trying to figure out what mistake they were talking about. Then the truth hit me like someone punched me in the chest. They were talking about Chloe sleeping with my husband, Ethan. Apparently, it had happened several months earlier, and my parents had decided to keep it from me. They believed the truth would only hurt Chloe, and they wanted to protect her because, in their eyes, she was still their perfect little girl. They called it nothing more than a mistake. Just one bad decision, something that should be forgiven and forgotten. According to them, the important thing now was that she was pregnant. I could not move. I just stood there frozen. It felt like the walls around me were closing in. My mind filled with shock, anger, heartbreak, and betrayal all at once. My husband, the man I trusted more than anyone, had betrayed me with my own sister. And somehow, The worst part was that my parents already knew. They had known the truth and chose to keep it from me. Once again, they picked Chloe instead of me. In that moment, every feeling I had carried since childhood suddenly made sense. Every time I thought I mattered less, every time I believed I came second, they proved I had been right all along. I barely remember leaving the house that night. I think I said something about feeling sick and needing to go home. I could not stay there another second. I could not look at my parents, I could not face Chloe, and I definitely could not look at Ethan. I got into my car and drove away. I honestly cannot remember where I went. I only remember wanting to get as far away from all of them as possible. It felt like my whole life had been one cruel joke. Nothing made sense anymore. It was like I was falling into a dark hole with nothing to grab onto. It has been 2 days now, and I still cannot process what I heard. I have not confronted any of them. I have barely spoken to Ethan since that night. He keeps asking me why I am acting so distant and what is wrong, but I cannot even bring myself to look him in the eyes. Every time I see him, all I can picture is him with my sister. How could he do this to me? How could Chloe betray me like that? And how could my parents hide something so huge, acting like it was no big deal, acting like I was the one who did not matter? I keep replaying that conversation over and over in my mind. I keep hearing my parents say that Chloe's mistake should not ruin her life, that it was only one moment of bad judgment. But what about my life? What about my marriage? Do those things not matter? Do I not matter? Because right now, that is exactly how it feels. It's like I've been erased from my own life, like I'm just a background character in a story that was supposed to be mine, but somehow it has always been about Chloe. No matter what she does, no matter how badly she hurts me, my parents will always protect her. And here I am, trying to pick up the pieces and figure out how to move forward when everything I believed about my life has been completely turned upside down. The truth is, I don't know what to do. I don't know if I should confront Ethan first and demand that he tell me the truth, or if I should go to my parents and tell them exactly how much they've hurt me. I don't know who I should face first. Honestly, I don't even know if I have the strength to look Chloe in the eye. Just thinking about sitting across from her and listening to whatever excuse she comes up with for betraying me makes me sick to my stomach. But I can't keep living like this. I can't keep pretending everything is fine when it clearly isn't. I can't keep carrying this secret around and letting it poison every thought and every moment of my life. Part of me wants to scream at all of them. I want them to know how deeply they've hurt me and how completely they've destroyed everything I thought I had. Then another part of me just wants to leave. I want to walk away from all of them and never look back. I honestly don't know which part of myself I should listen to. I don't even know if there is a right answer anymore. All I know is that I feel completely broken, and I have no idea how to put my life back together. I've spent my whole life feeling like I wasn't enough, like I never really mattered. And after everything that's happened, it feels like those fears have finally been proven right. My parents have made it painfully clear that Chloe will always come first, no matter what she does or who she hurts. So, where does that leave me? How am I supposed to move on knowing the people who were supposed to love me and protect me have chosen someone else over me again and again? I don't have the answers. I wish I did. I wish I knew how to fix this, or at least how to move forward. Right now, all I feel is betrayal and pain, and I don't even know how to make those feelings stop. That's why I'm writing this. I'm hoping someone out there can tell me what I should do, because I honestly feel like I'm falling apart, and I don't know how to stop it. I know it's easy to have an opinion when you're looking at a situation like this from the outside, and that's exactly what I'm asking for. But when you're the one living through it, everything feels overwhelming. Update 1. It's been more than 2 weeks since I made my first post. I've had time to think. I've had time to feel everything. And I've had time to make a plan. At first, I was completely frozen by the pain, the confusion, and the betrayal. I couldn't think straight. But as the days passed, that numb feeling slowly disappeared, and it was replaced by something much colder, much sharper, and honestly, much more dangerous. At first, I thought confronting Ethan, Chloe, and my parents would give me some kind of closure. Now I've changed my mind. I'm still going to confront them, but I'm not doing it to yell, I'm not doing it to cry. And I'm definitely not doing it because I want explanations. I want them to feel the same pain I've been drowning in. I want revenge. I'm going to get the most complete revenge I can, while staying completely within the law. Over the past several days, I've been careful, I've been patient, and I've been methodical. They still think I don't know anything. They still believe I'm the quiet daughter and the loyal wife who just smiles, accepts everything, and never asks questions. That's exactly what I want them to believe. While they've been living their lives like nothing happened, I've been quietly collecting evidence to prove everything I overheard that night. People who betray someone always leave something behind. No matter how careful they think they are, they make mistakes. And I'm determined to find every single piece of proof they thought was hidden forever. But before I tell you about that, I should explain the baby shower. Yes, there is going to be a baby shower. A few days after I wrote my first post, my mom called me. She used her usual cheerful voice, acting like nothing had happened, like she hadn't helped hide the biggest betrayal of my life. She asked if I would organize Chloe's baby shower. In my family, I'm basically the one expected to do all the work, so naturally they expected me to handle everything. If our situations had been reversed, my mother never would have asked Chloe to organize a party for me. But somehow she expected me to celebrate the woman who slept with my husband and destroyed my marriage. The nerve of that request left me speechless for a few seconds. Then I realized something. This could actually work in my favor. This baby shower could become the perfect stage for what I have planned. So I agreed. I made sure my voice sounded completely normal. I didn't let her hear a single hint of what I was really thinking. She sounded so happy, almost excited. Chloe is going to be so happy, she told me. I smiled while we were on the phone. Not because I was happy, because I couldn't stop thinking about how happy Chloe would be, right up until she discovered what I had planned for her. Before I made my move, though, I needed more evidence. Much more. I've become almost obsessed with uncovering every secret they tried to hide. Every message, every picture, every little piece of proof showing exactly what they did to me. Almost every night after Ethan falls asleep, I go through his phone, then his laptop, then even his old backups. At first, I wasn't sure I'd find anything. Maybe they had covered their tracks. Maybe they deleted everything. But people always get careless when they think they've already won. The first real piece of evidence came from a hidden folder on Ethan's phone. He thought he was being clever by giving it an innocent-looking name. But I know him too well. I opened it. Inside were pictures. Pictures of Ethan and Chloe together. That's when I realized it hadn't happened just once. It wasn't one stupid mistake. It was a full-blown affair. Some of the photos looked harmless if you didn't know what you were looking at. But the others left absolutely no doubt about what had been going on between them. I could tell exactly what those photos meant. The truth was right there in front of me. My stomach turned as I stared at them, but I refused to stop looking. Over the next few nights, I kept searching. I went through text messages, emails, old social media chats, anything I could find. Eventually, I came across conversations between Chloe and Ethan. Some of them were from months earlier. They talked about how careful they had been and how they made sure I would never find out. Reading their messages broke my heart. At the same time, it made me even more determined. The way they talked about everything was so casual, like what they had done wasn't a big deal, like I wasn't even a person. To them, I was just someone standing in the way. Then I found the real bombshell. I discovered messages between Chloe and my parents, especially my mom. She wasn't just keeping quiet, she was actively helping them keep the affair a secret. There were conversations where she said that Hannah doesn't need to know. They talked about how important it was to protect Chloe's image. Chloe even sent screenshots of those conversations to Ethan, telling him that my parents were completely on their side and that they didn't have to worry about me finding out. Reading that made me feel sick. They didn't care that I was their own daughter. The only thing that mattered to them was protecting Chloe. I saved everything, every picture, every message, Every screenshot, every piece of evidence is stored safely on my computer now, and I've backed it up in several places just in case. I'm not going to rush this. I'm waiting for the right moment. Maybe it'll happen during the baby shower, maybe after. But when everything finally comes crashing down, I'm going to make sure it falls apart completely. None of them will see it coming. Update 2. It's been about a week since my last update, and so much has happened that I hardly know where to begin. Everything that happened yesterday still feels unreal, like I was trapped in a dream, or maybe a nightmare. I guess that depends on who you ask. I spent the entire day at Chloe's baby shower pretending to be the perfect hostess while hiding everything I was really feeling inside. I played my part perfectly. I was the supportive sister, the loving daughter, the faithful wife. Everyone was there, family, friends, even Chloe's husband. None of them had any idea what was about to happen. The baby shower itself was a big event. Just like I expected, my mother couldn't stop fussing over every little detail. She wanted everything to be absolutely perfect for her precious Chloe. Neither of my parents realized that the biggest gift of the day hadn't been opened yet, and it was coming from me. A gift that was about to destroy the perfect world they had built together. My heart was racing all day long, not because I was excited, because I knew exactly what was coming. As the party went on, I smiled, made small talk with everyone, laughed at jokes, and helped arrange all the baby gifts on the table. But underneath all of that, I could feel the countdown. I kept looking at Chloe. She was soaking up all the attention. She looked happier than ever. She had no idea that her happiness was about to disappear. And honestly, the longer she believed she'd gotten away with everything, the more satisfying the moment would be. Then it was time to cut the cake. Everyone clapped. Everyone congratulated her again. My heart started beating even faster. It was finally time. I picked up the gift I had brought for Chloe. I smiled and told everyone it was something I had chosen from the bottom of my heart. The truth was, it came from the deepest part of my pain. Then I stood up. The room slowly went quiet. Everyone looked at me. Chloe smiled as she reached for the beautifully wrapped box. I had made sure it looked expensive. Elegant wrapping paper, a beautiful ribbon. Everything about it was designed to make people think it contained something truly special. And in a way, it did. People gathered around her to watch. She slowly removed the wrapping paper and opened the box. Inside were printed photographs, pictures of her and Ethan together, pictures that showed them in very compromising situations, intimate moments frozen forever, the kind of photos no family would ever want to see. I had carefully picked the most undeniable ones, the ones that proved exactly what they had done. Chloe's smile disappeared. First she looked confused, then shocked, then terrified. You could see the exact moment she realized what she was holding. The entire room changed. People stopped smiling, whispers started spreading. Everyone looked from the pictures to Chloe, then at me, trying to understand what was happening. But I wasn't finished. While people were still trying to process everything, I pulled back the decorative curtains I had prepared. Behind them were enlarged copies of the same photographs. There was no denying the truth anymore. The affair was on display for everyone in the room to see. A gallery of betrayal. A reminder of the affair that had destroyed my marriage. Chloe's face turned completely white. It looked like all the blood had drained from her body. Her hands were shaking as she stared at the photos. My parents immediately tried to step in. They wanted to stop me before I could say another word. But I wasn't going to let them silence me. Not this time. I took a deep breath and told everyone everything. I explained that Chloe had been having an affair with my husband. I told them my parents had known about it. I told them they had helped hide it from me. I told everyone how they all pretended nothing had happened while I was the only one living a lie. Chloe's husband stood there in complete disbelief. Then he exploded. He stormed out of the room, shouting at her. He called her a traitor. He couldn't believe she had done something like this. Looking at him, I realized he was probably feeling exactly what I had felt the day I discovered the truth. As for my parents, they stood there speechless. For once, they couldn't think of a single thing to say. The people who had always defended their precious golden child suddenly had nothing left to say. For the first time, the perfect little world my parents had built around Chloe was falling apart right in front of everyone's eyes. Piece by piece, everything they had worked so hard to hide was collapsing as I exposed the truth about what she had done. As I stood there surrounded by everyone, I felt something I hadn't felt in weeks. Relief. It slowly washed over me. A few people walked over to comfort me, but I wasn't looking for sympathy. Not anymore. I had already done what I came there to do. So, I picked up my things, turned around, and walked out. Update 3. It's been about 2 weeks since my last update, and I think enough time has passed for me to tell you what happened after my little surprise at the baby shower and what came of it for everyone involved. The night I exposed everything, I left as soon as I finished showing everyone the evidence. I didn't stay to argue. I didn't answer questions. I didn't want to stand there listening to the reactions of the people I had called my family. For several days, I had no idea what happened after I left. Then, a few days later, one of Chloe's closest friends, or I should probably say former friend now, reached out to me. She wanted to ask me a few questions. From the moment we started talking, I could hear the disbelief and disgust in her voice. She told me that after seeing everything I revealed at the baby shower, she finally realized what kind of person Chloe really was. She said something that really stuck with me. If she could sleep with her own sister's husband, what makes any of us think she wouldn't betray us too? Watching what happened that day had completely changed the way she saw Chloe. She told me she couldn't imagine staying friends with someone capable of doing something like that. During our conversation, she asked if I had any advice about checking whether her own husband might be hiding something from her. I told her exactly what I had done. I said she should go through his social media accounts, read his text messages, and pay attention to anything on his phone that seemed suspicious. I also told her that if she found anything important, I hoped she would let me know. I'm sure a lot of you reading this would want to know too. But that wasn't the only thing she told me. Apparently, after I walked out of the party, the entire place turned into complete chaos. Chloe's husband's family had been there. The moment they realized what those photographs meant, everything exploded. People started shouting, accusations were flying everywhere. Chloe's husband's parents were furious. They screamed at her, called her names, and couldn't believe what she had done. My father, trying to protect his favorite daughter like always, stepped in and told them they shouldn't speak to Chloe that way because she was pregnant. That didn't go over very well. Chloe's father-in-law fired right back. He said their precious daughter was nothing but the whore of Babylon. Well, he actually used a much harsher word than that. That comment pushed my father over the edge. He charged straight at Chloe's father-in-law, clearly planning to settle things with his fists. It didn't end well for him. Chloe's father-in-law threw one punch, just one. It knocked my father flat onto the floor. He didn't lose consciousness, but he stayed down. Whether it was because he was embarrassed or because he didn't want to risk another punch, nobody really knows. And it wasn't only the men who started fighting. Chloe's mother-in-law was just as furious. She turned on my mother, throwing insults at her. My mother immediately fired back. At one point, she even called Chloe's father-in-law a gorilla for punching my father. That was enough to set everything off. Chloe's mother-in-law lunged at her. The fight turned ugly fast. From what I was told, she grabbed my mother's hair and pulled so hard that other people had to rush in and separate them. My mother ended up losing a noticeable chunk of hair. Someone even joked afterward that she might want to start shopping for a wig. Eventually, several guests managed to break up the fight before it got even worse. I have to admit something. A small part of me actually regrets leaving so early. Not because I wanted to be involved, but because I missed seeing everything that happened after I left. It's almost like missing school on the one day when all the unbelievable drama happens. Still, I know leaving was the right decision. I needed to protect my own peace of mind instead of getting dragged into all the chaos and humiliation. Surprisingly, Chloe walked away without anyone laying a hand on her. Not because people thought she deserved kindness, because she was pregnant. Even the angriest people there had enough self-control not to physically hurt a pregnant woman. Although, judging by everything I uncovered, there's a very real chance the baby she's carrying is actually my husband's. Even so, none of this is the baby's fault. The child didn't choose any of this. The only guilty person is the woman who betrayed everyone around her. Update 4. As for my ex-husband, or more accurately, the man who will soon officially be my ex-husband, a lot has happened there too. The moment my lawyer finished preparing the paperwork, I had him served with the divorce papers. Oddly enough, nobody hit him during the baby shower. I think he realized staying quiet was the smartest thing he could do. He kept his head down the entire time and tried to disappear into the crowd. Apparently that strategy worked. He managed to avoid the punch that Chloe's father-in-law was more than willing to throw. Personally, I think Ethan deserved that punch more than anyone else. Later that night, when he came home, he found every single thing he owned piled up on the front lawn. I had already packed everything. Not one item of his was left inside my house. His clothes, his shoes, his boxes, everything was outside waiting for him. I figured that sent a pretty clear message. He didn't argue, he didn't bang on the door, he didn't beg me to let him in. He quietly picked up his belongings, loaded them into his car, and drove away. At least he finally understood that there was nothing left for him inside that house. At least he understood the message. Now the only thing left is to wait and see what happens to the house once the divorce is completely finalized. Over the last 2 weeks, neither my sister nor my parents have made a single attempt to contact me. No apology, no excuses, not even an angry phone call. Honestly, I'm not surprised. Even though I was the person who suffered the most from everything that happened, well, other than my father's bruised pride, they still haven't shown a single ounce of guilt or regret. That tells me everything I need to know. Chloe will always come first, no matter what she does, no matter who she hurts. Even after all of this betrayal and all of the public humiliation, they still don't seem capable of admitting they were wrong. I've spent my entire life trying to earn a place in that family. I wanted to be seen. I wanted to matter. I wanted my parents to value me the way they valued Chloe. Now I finally understand that none of that is ever going to happen. No matter how badly they hurt me, no matter how many times they betray me, I'll always be the daughter they can ignore without a second thought. Update 4. There's an old saying that goes, "Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face." Well, that ended up describing my ex-husband perfectly. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me explain everything that's happened over the last few months. Remember Chloe's former friend? The one I told to check whether her husband was hiding anything from her? She actually took my advice. She started going through his messages and investigating him. And she found exactly what she was afraid of. Her husband had been cheating on her too. With my sister. As you can probably imagine, she confronted him immediately. During their argument, she mentioned everything that had happened with me and even brought up my ex-husband's role in the whole mess. Her husband didn't argue. He didn't try to explain himself. Instead, he got in his car and drove straight to my sister's house. At that point, Chloe and my ex-husband were living together because they believed the baby she was carrying belonged to him. What happened next was honestly the best part. The man walked up to my ex and punched him right in the face. So even though Ethan managed to avoid getting hit at the baby shower, life eventually caught up with him. He finally got the punch he deserved. Of course, my ex decided to sue him over it. As far as I know, that case is still being dealt with. Honestly, I couldn't care less how it turns out. As for Chloe's husband, he moved out almost immediately after discovering the affair. Not long after that, he filed for divorce. That divorce still hasn't been finalized yet. I'm guessing the fact that a baby is involved has slowed everything down. My own divorce, on the other hand, was finalized about a month ago. A lot of people asked what happened with the house. We sold it. After that, we split the money equally. Neither of us has to pay spousal support. Since we never had children together, the divorce was much more straightforward. In a strange way, the fact that my divorce wrapped up so quickly only made the chaos surrounding my sister's life seem even more endless. Now, back to my ex-husband. Getting punched wasn't even the worst thing that happened to him. Soon afterward, he found out there was a good chance he wasn't even the father of Chloe's baby. The irony is unbelievable. The same man who cheated on me suddenly couldn't handle the possibility that Chloe had cheated on him. As soon as that thought crossed his mind, he packed up and moved out of her house too. I have to admit, that part actually made me laugh. At the same time, it made me wonder how people like that think. How can someone betray their own partner without feeling guilty, and then turn around and feel completely devastated when someone does the exact same thing to them? Maybe I'll never understand it. Then again, I've never wanted to cheat on someone I loved. So maybe I'm just not wired that way. The hypocrisy is almost too ridiculous to believe. But the story still wasn't over. Here's the part nobody expected. My sister eventually gave birth. As soon as the baby was born, a DNA test was done. The results shocked everyone. My ex-husband wasn't the father. The baby's biological father turned out to be Chloe's former friend's husband, the same man who had already filed for divorce after learning about the affair. Honestly, what surprises me most isn't even who the father turned out to be. It's the fact that there could easily have been someone else. After everything I've learned about Chloe, I wouldn't have been surprised if there had been several possible fathers. Nothing she does surprises me anymore. Considering the kind of people my parents and my sister are, this whole situation almost feels normal for them. It's like this level of chaos has become their everyday life. To them, it's just another ordinary Tuesday. And before anyone asks, no, my parents still haven't contacted me. Neither has Chloe. This time, though, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it's not that they don't care about me. Maybe they're simply too busy trying to clean up the disaster they created for themselves. Update 5. Before I get into this update, I want to clear something up. A lot of people didn't realize I was being sarcastic in my last post. When I said I was giving my family the benefit of the doubt, I wasn't serious. No, I don't believe they've ever genuinely cared about me. And even if none of this scandal had happened, I seriously doubt they would have reached out anyway. Now for the actual update. Chloe has officially moved back into our parents' house. The reason is pretty simple. The biological father of her baby decided he didn't want to be with her. Even though he cheated on his own wife, I honestly understand why he left. Living with someone as dishonest and unfaithful as my sister sounds less like a relationship and more like a punishment. Left alone with a newborn baby, Chloe ended up going back to the only place where she was still welcomed without questions, our parents' house. As for her divorce, it has finally been finalized, and things worked out much better for my former brother-in-law than anyone expected. The house they owned together was sold, and he doesn't have to pay child support or spousal support. Honestly, I think that was the best possible outcome for him. He gets to walk away from this entire disaster without being financially tied to my sister or having to keep dealing with her for the rest of his life. If you ask me, life handed him the perfect opportunity to escape, and I honestly can't think of a better ending for him. Chloe's former friend has finalized her divorce too. At this point, everything has finally started to calm down. No more shouting, no more fights, no more punches. Although, after everything that's happened, I still think a few people in this story deserved another one. For now, the physical fights are over, but everything that happened will stay with all of us for a very long time. Some people will carry those memories in their minds, and a few of them will probably carry reminders on their faces too.